On top of a wooden table laid a bunch of long round matters. One is made of wood, others of plastic and of glass. Some are very colorful, some are not. Some are thick, some are not so thick. But all share the same purpose of existing, to leave a mark. All of them are owned by JC, who is a great writer and artist. In fact, he had written and illustrated a lot of good and enriching parables. Celia is the one made of wood. Her beautifully carved body was fit for hand to hold and use. She also has her close friend with her, Risa, who would always be there for her to erase all her bad marks. JC would always have Celia and her friend Risa in his hand for drafting all the illustrations he is going to make. Sometimes he would erase all her marks after. Sometimes Celia's mark would be permanent in a paper sheet. JC was so fond of using Celia and Risa, and so, most of the times, Celia would pass through the blades of Sharpay, and she needs to experience sufferings in order to serve her purpose. But she would always be happy after passing through Sharpay, and again be in the loving hands of JC. The closest to JC among them is Ben. Ben would know everything about JC, his feelings, emotions, and even his secrets. Primarily because he would use him every time he would write an entry in his journal and diary. He also uses Ben when finalizing the illustrations he would do using Celia. And that is the reason why Celia and Ben are always arguing. The next is Hyla, whom JC would use to mark things which are important for him. Also, Hyla's marks would always remind JC of the lessons which he found most important and relevant to him. Hyla would show up to JC in different colors depending on JC's mood. Red if he feels passionate about what he is going to be doing that day, or if he feels angry and aggressive. Blue if he feels at peace and at an emotional equilibrium. Yellow if he feels optimistic, cheerful, and excited. Another one is Thel, short for Thelma. Her diameter is a bit bigger than anyone else. She also leaves bigger marks, which most of the times makes her feel superior. But also because of her size, she is very clumsy and careless. JC would use Thel every time he would want others to see what he is writing. JC would also use her in a part of an illustration which he wants to emphasize. Among each individual, a group of youth also exists, the Crayolas. All of them have their different personalities, different colors, and different moods. Red, who happens to be the oldest, is the most aggressive one. Orange is the most sociable. Yellow is the most jolly and the clown of the group. Green, the most mature among them, though one of the youngest. Blue is the quietest and the peaceful. Violet is the most creative. White is the innocent and the virtuous. And black is the mysterious and secretive among them. Though having different personalities, JC would use all of them to put life and color to his illustration so people would be attracted to them, especially the children. And for sure, JC would not see one above the other. The last and the most bullied among them is Corazon, the one who would only leave a white liquid mark, usually an unnoticeable mark. Everyone would feel more superior than her. That everyone is JC's favorite, except for her, for she would be used very, very seldom. One beautiful morning, JC was so inspired to draw the illustrations of the most recent story he wrote, the parable of the Good Samaritan. And so, right after breakfast, he sat and first got Celia. But together with Celia, JC also picked Sharpay to sharpen her a bit. Celia cried secretly for she doesn't want others to see her tears. The others remained quiet for they know that JC would surely pick them up and use them as well. JC was happy with the marks Celia had left on the paper sheet. "Good job, Cel and Riza," he exclaimed. The draft of the scene wherein the man was lying, robbed, stripped and helpless, and the Samaritan, a non-neighbor in nature, was helping him, was beautifully sketched with the use of Cel and the help of Sharpay and Riza. JC picked Hyla. He highlighted the parts and lines in the story he made which he would want to emphasize and be seen in the illustration. "Thank you, Hyla, for reminding me of the things I need to remember. You have served your purpose," said JC. JC stretched for a while and then continued working. He picked up Ben next. He artistically followed the lines and curves which Celia had left, and this gave the reason for Ben to start again the argument. JC, not minding the conversation, continued to give life to the piece with Ben. Ben enjoyed every line, curved and shade which he performed through the hands of JC. After Ben had drawn it with Cel and darkened the details with Ben, comes the role of the Crayola youth group. They were all enthusiastic to be of service to JC. All of them shared their bright color. They let JC use them for a greater and colorful purpose. JC would join 2 or 3 among them to make a unique and different color, and they would enjoy that, as almost young people would do, to mingle and enjoy each other's company. Now, the drawing was done. The lines and details are seen well. Colors are well blended and used. He got Thel excitedly and draws the outline and some major details with her. Some marks left by Ben were covered because the marks of Thel are much thicker and broader than his. So he felt humiliated, but Thel did not say anything, even a sincere sorry. She doesn't care. By this time, Corazon was already feeling aloof and about to cry in the corner of the table. It seems like JC doesn't have any plans of using or even touching her. The others, who are now enjoying their own time, were trying to bully Corazon indirectly. Corazon by now is in deep tears. She feels very worthless and useless. So she tried to hide herself so others won't see that she is affected. She wants others to look at her as a strong one, even if she is really not. JC is now finalizing everything, writing the description and bordering it with Thel. Thel really enjoys the activity, when suddenly, out of enthusiasm and carelessness, she slipped and touched the part which is not to be touched. JC, as patient as he is, tried to remedy it, but instead of making it more appealing, it became worse. He tried to use Risa to correct the mistake, but nothing happened, for it is not the purpose of Risa to correct Thel or anyone else. She can only correct her friend, Celia. Maybe the Crayolas can help, JC thought, but he changed his mind because the part that has mistake is not supposed to have a color. The incident made JC a bit dismayed, helpless, and sad. And so, Ben, Celia, the Crayolas, and the others have met and thought of ways to help JC and make him happy. A lot of useless suggestions were raised, like, "Repeat everything!" But Green, one of the Crayolas, said,
In times of troubles and problems like this, let us not be in panic. Also, we cannot just repeat it. Problems are to be solved and not to be left.
Corazon, on the other hand, hearing the happenings from where she is hiding, has the solution. Let JC use her to correct the mistake made by the others. But she did not intervene right away because she thought that others would not listen to her. Until she saw JC. Instead of talking to the others, she went straight to him. JC, having a bunch of hope with Corazon, told her, "Oh, Corazon, thank you for showing up and offering your help. I've been waiting for you to show up." He added, "I know you're hurt with what others would say and think about you." Corazon is now turning red, for she is not used to be told such things. JC picked her up and used her to cover the blemish in the piece. "Thank you, Corazon, for helping. You may feel that you are worthless, but you are not. In fact, you have a greater purpose, to be able to correct things which are actually seemed to be uncorrectable, to erase things that seems to be inerasable. You can't leave a good mark on clean sheet, for you are clean. You leave the best mark on the dirty sheet to make it clean. In this, I challenge you. Never feel tired of accepting and cleaning the bad marks done by others." Because of this, Corazon never felt excluded from anyone else. In fact, the others have accepted her and became her friends for making JC happy. She gained the respect of everyone without force. She little by little inspired others to be humble and accepting. And starting that time, since they all have and known their purpose, each plays its role well, to leave the best mark they possibly can, not for their own purposes, but for others' benefits, happiness, and contentment.